What excites you about Manchester United right now?
I think Cunha, linking with, I think, Mount, and when Bruno plays, it looks like those three really do have something that can create a lot of problems for teams. These last few matches, I think they've been a different standard, and I think obviously Sesko's come in because then Burmo and Ahmad aren't there, which is a real problem. But that excites me. The biggest problem for United isn't the lads that have gone to AFCON or Bruno not playing, it's actually the two lads at the back, Maguire and De Ligt not playing. I think that's a real problem for United. They look like you can get at them and concede goals, but going forward, I actually think they are linking quite well.
So you see quite a lot of progress, would you say, at the end of this year?
I think in the last couple of weeks, when you've seen Cunha play with Mount, with Burmo, obviously before he went to AFCON with Ahmad, I think that looks like something that will score quite a few goals and they'll create chances, but they look really open at the back, and that's a problem they've got to try and deal with. But I think that's sometimes to do with injuries as it is so much to do with basically sort of, you know, the young lads that are in there are struggling to cope with what's being thrown at them, and tonight I think it might be a little bit the same.
Do you think it's unrealistic, Roy, to ask Manchester United at this point to be able to do both of those things, to score goals, which you were always calling for last season?
Yeah.
They didn't score enough, but also be able to keep teams out?
Yeah, no, I just think they just need to be better. Obviously, we're not going to compare to the brilliant defensive teams like Arsenal, but they do have to be better. You know, when you think of the chances recently or the goals they've conceded, even the two at Villa, OK, that can happen, Villa on a good run, but the 4 against Bournemouth, you know, to concede 4, Bournemouth having 1 in 8, it's that way you need to be a little bit tighter. And I still feel that anytime I watch United, as good as they are going forward, teams seem to create chances so easily. It's just 1 or 2 quick passes and players that not doing the basics properly. And that comes from having good teammates putting demands on each other. So I don't see it with this group of players yet with United. So as much as we can sit there and go, yeah, they're really going to go forward, but really part of football, if you want to make progress as a football club, particularly as big as Man United, you've got to be harder to beat. And they just don't do enough. We saw that against Villa, we saw against Bournemouth. They need to improve in that, or else we're going to continue talking about the same problems and going, yeah, great to watch, great going forward, and they are, and they're creating chances. Obviously, Bruno's a huge loss. But if they keep giving up chances and goals like they're doing, they'll never make that next step. We keep looking at the table saying United are just only one or 2 wins away from getting the top 4, but we've said that now for 4 or 5 games. So they have to tighten up the back, and obviously they've got injury problems, so it's a big test for them. But part of playing for a big club is dealing with these challenges, and particularly when you're missing some of your best players.
Jamie, you talk...
Keane cut straight through the optimism. Yes, United look better going forward, but to him that means very little if they're still soft defensively. His point was simple and brutal. Nice football without control doesn't move a club forward. For Keane, the issue isn't injuries or missing attackers. It's that United are too easy to play through. Until that changes, he doesn't see a serious step being taken.
A lot about the underlying numbers on Monday Night Football. We can show you what it looks like for Manchester United. And if you think of this as the sort of green tinsel and the red tinsel, the green is the attacking, and the red is the defensive numbers. The best possible scenario is that they are a long way apart with green on top. So it's in a healthier position. It has been for some time. In fact, the attacking numbers are the best they've ever been under Ruben Amorim. And the defensive numbers look like they have been improving as well. Do you think all that is grounds for optimism? You know, would you say that Manchester United could well be climbing higher than 7th and maybe even finishing in the top 4 this season?
No, I don't think they'll finish in the top 4, but I think at the start of the season they still have to be getting into Europe. I think the bar's been set so low when you consider sort of last season where Manchester United finished, that I think there's probably an over-excitement about how they've played in the last few weeks and probably where they are in the table. I mean, we look at some teams around, even last year, you think of sort of, you know, Nottingham Forest or Bournemouth up there. You know, Manchester United still spent a good chunk of change in the summer. They've got some good players who they've brought in, Cunha and Burmo, and they should be where they are in the table. They should be qualifying for Europe, and that should not be seen as, like, you know, a big achievement. But I think getting in the Champions League probably would be a step too far. But listen, they're green shoots, if you like. But when you look at the sort of last couple of results, and I always say this about teams, we say a lot about teams that it's great to get results when you're not playing well. I worry for teams when they're not getting results and they're playing well. I think Manchester United were really good, and Aston Villa, and I think in terms of the attacking, you know, part of the game was really good against Bournemouth. They've got 1 point. I think that's a worry when teams actually play well and don't pick up points or pick up maybe what they should.
I would order.
Carragher acknowledged the attacking improvement but warned against over-celebration. His concern wasn't style, it was outcomes. Playing well and still dropping points is a red flag, not a green one. He made it clear, if United are creating chances but not turning performances into wins, that's a bigger worry than playing badly and scraping results.
I really agree with that, but I think, to be fair to United under Ruben Amorim, I think we've been seeking performance for a long time, and we've not seen anything that looks like a performance that you think, where are the green shoots? Where's this team going? I actually feel a little bit heartened, not just by the numbers that you've just seen on there, but I actually think it's important they play well. I get it. They've conceded 4 goals and they've obviously conceded 2 at Villa, which is a real problem. But I do think you can put that down to players being injured. I'd be very worried if in a few weeks' time and Maguire and De Ligt were back and they were still conceding 4 and 2s, you know, in games like that. I think if those 2 get back and they can provide some level of stability and reliability and they can continue to keep going forward and getting Mbeumo and Ahmad back fit from AFCON and obviously Bruno back, I do think they can get into the Champions League. Not because I think that they're an amazing team. I think the league is up and down this year like we've never seen it before, and I do think over the last few weeks they should have won some of those games. I mean, going into the games against West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth at home, I mean, to get basically 2 points out of those 9 is ridiculous, really. So I think my view is that I do think it's important that they have played well
in those games.
No, in the
Everton game, the West Ham game.
He's changed something though in the last couple of games. I think he's gone back to it tonight because of obviously the players missing with the 2 in midfield and the 3 at the back. But the last 2 games he has adapted and he has put more players forward. In the game against I think Bournemouth, they had Mbeumo, Cunha, Mount, and one more, Ahmad. So they had 4 up front almost. That was a lot better.
Do you think that's the reason why you think in the last couple of weeks the football's been better? Do you think it's because he's adapted, or he's got all his attacking players on the pitch?
He's got more attacking players on the pitch. I think when if you look at that team tonight, it's going to be a struggle.
I can show you it, Gary.
But it's going to be a struggle. The reason it's going to be a struggle is you've got basically 5 players at the back. You've got 2 players in the midfield who can't pass or run really, in Casemiro and Agati. So if you look at that back 7 plus the goalkeeper, right? That's 8 players on the pitch that are not going to win you the match. That's too many as an imbalance from a defensive perspective. You've only got Cunha, Sesko and Mount that can actually do anything going forward, really. You're not going to be expecting too much from the others. A couple of weeks ago, there was Mbeumo was in there, Bruno was in there, and Ahmad was in there. So you had basically 5 players that could go forward and 5 players that could defend. I think those 5 players that are defending need to be better players than they currently are. So hopefully when De Ligt and Maguire come back, they can sort that out.
Yeah, I'm not convinced, again, until we see the team be more consistent. That's the key when you're playing for any decent club. You got to be consistent. In the summer, we talked, give the manager pre-season. He got more signings in. They're out of the League Cup. They're not in Europe. They have no other demands. Yet they're still not showing us they can do it. Yet they've got injuries. And then you got to ask why they're picking up so many injuries if they've got no midweek games. Because I laughed in the summer. People said, "Oh, it's great that they're not in Europe." I think you want to play regular games. You want to be competing, and we're still waiting. But again, we'll come to the game tonight. Not really belief, but you're hoping that United will turn up. And yeah, they're up against it tonight, but you're still Man United home to Newcastle. You still think you can roll your sleeves up and dig out a result. But the question marks are still there for me. I'm not convinced with this team in terms of getting the top 4. I'm thinking, no, they're not ready for that yet.
Well, in that case, do they need to investigate in January?
Yeah, but
especially with these injuries that are appearing, of course the players will come back from AFCON.
Yeah, but injuries is all part of the challenge. I'm sure the Newcastle squad has been stretched as well because they've got different demands. But we've had this conversation before. Who do you get in January? Is it
well,
really
what about Antoine Semenyo, who looks like he might be on his way from Bournemouth? And it looks like Manchester City and Manchester United are both, and others, are both there saying, come to us.
Yeah, but we've just discussed it. We actually feel, no doubt he's a very good player. But he's another attacking player. But Man United scoring goals at this moment in time is not the big issue for him. It's about being better at the back, defensively in midfield. We're looking at the 2 midfielders tonight for Man United midfield, and we're worried already. Looking at the teams going, people will be running off the back of them. So I don't think that's a priority for Man United.
Don't prioritise another attacking player.
Well, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But again, what other options have you got out there for midfielders? It's going to be tough.
You'd have to go midfield next for United if you were thinking about prioritising an area with what the problems they've got in there. You'd have to. I mean, Ugarte he's struggled badly. Casemiro, we know, is coming to the last part of his career. Kobe Mainoo's obviously injured at the moment, and Bruno's out for a few weeks, but they've got real problems in there. They need to deal with that next.
And if they struggle tonight, we go back to the importance of attacking players and defensively. But if you're going to win big prizes or you're going to try and dominate weekend, your midfield is huge. You've got to be strong. You've got to be powerful. You've got to have quality. We see Bruno's qualities, but we're still question marks over United's midfield. And if we keep having that conversation, United are going to have the same problems. So going forward, well and good. But if you can dominate midfield, you've got a great chance of winning football matches. And a big test for United midfield tonight. And if they don't come up with it, then straight away you're thinking Newcastle will have a great chance of winning just on the battle of midfield alone.
Neville took the most forgiving view. He accepted the defensive issues but framed them as part of disruption. Injuries, missing leaders, and constant changes. What encouraged him was direction. For the first time in a while, he sees what United are trying to do. His belief is conditional. If key defenders return and the attacking structure stays, United could still push upward in a chaotic league. 3 voices, 1 conclusion. Manchester United are interesting, but not reliable. The attack is improving, the intent is clearer, but the spine of the team still isn't strong enough. Until midfield control and defensive stability arrive together, this side will remain unpredictable. If you enjoy honest football reactions, clear opinions without shouting, and breakdowns that separate hope from reality, make sure you subscribe. Drop a like if this helped, and tell me in the comments, are United actually progressing or just looking better while staying stuck? I'll see you in the next one.